guys, it's Toby, and I just want to talk a little bit about change. And, you know, it's something that all of us are going to experience in our life at some point, whether we want to or not. And sometimes it's easy because we want to do it. And even then, even when we choose to make a change in our life, it's not always easy. And sometimes if you have a health crisis or some kind of circumstance or situation that happens in your life that doesn't really give you the option but to change, you know, that could be really hard and painful. But, you know, just say that you wanted to make the change. And initially, when we make a change, even if it is one that we don't want, there is some amount of motivation, some kind of fuel that is motivating us to make the change, whether we want to or not. And that's a good thing, because all of us need some kind of catalyst to, you know, make us change. I mean, I talked to a friend not long ago, and she was in an accident, just a little fender bender, but it was like a catalyst to make her prioritize some things in her life and just reevaluate, you know, what was she doing with her time, and was she on this path that she really wanted to be on? You know, for me, I've had several health experiences in my life where they forced me to make changes in my life, whether I wanted to or not. And it turned out that those changes were actually in ways that my soul really needed, and my heart needed, and my relationships needed as well. And I just didn't know I needed those changes in my life. And so health crises for me is what was my catalyst to start making changes and start making, you know, really just evaluating my life and just seeing, you know, what is my life like? What are my relationships like? Whatever it is, my job, my health, my relationships, you know, my goals, my career. Like, it just really helped to force me to evaluate and take a look within myself and, you know, within what I was spending my time and energy in. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful. And I know that at the time, you know, when I had severe vertigo and I couldn't do anything for like a month, I wasn't very thankful at the time for that, because I was legit like, what the heck? I can't even move, you know, I have no purpose, or I can't do anything. But there is a lot to be learned through those periods in your life too. They're hard. They're really hard, and they can feel really lonely sometimes. And so I want you to know that you are not alone when you're going through something like that. You're fully supported. You're fully supported by yourself, by all the relationships you've ever had, by the loved ones who are here on this side of the veil and on the other side. You're constantly and always supported, and you're never alone, and everything is happening for you to be able to experience the life that you want to experience. And when you start being able to shift and see things in that perspective, it really helps a lot when you're going through those periods in your life when you feel lonely and kind of lost, and maybe you feel a little abandoned, and maybe you feel really like unjustified, like it's unjustified what's happening to you, because maybe you have done everything right and you're a good person, and why is this happening to you? There's something to be learned in that too. And I'm only saying that because I've been through periods like that in my life, and they're very painful and they hurt like hell. But there's so much growth that can happen from within yourself. So much healing can happen within yourself that radiates out into your life. And if you choose to allow it, it can change the whole trajectory of your life. And I'm, again, just saying that out of my own personal experience with situations like that many times in my life. And so I really love dragonflies, and I think, I feel like dragonflies and hawks are my spirit guides. And anyway, if you think about a dragonfly, okay, a dragonfly is born in water and lives a good deal of its life in water. And then at some point, it totally goes through this metamorphosis stage in its life. It goes within, it's a period where it's like in this dark, lonely place, and it's going through so many changes. And when all the changes are done, it comes out and it's a dragonfly, which is amazing and cool, except for that can't be easy either, because the whole life that it knew was in the water, and now it has this expansive new world where it could just fly and go everywhere. And, it never lived that life before. It could be a little scary. And so, you think about the dragonfly, it has to leave everything that it has known, go through this period of complete isolation and loneliness, and then come out something totally different in a totally different world and place, and with totally different experiences. And so I just love using that analogy when it comes to change. And I try to think about that, to have courage and see it as an adventure, because, you'll go through changes in your life, and you will have dark, very lonely, isolated times in your life just before the new and exciting, expansive new thing will happen to you. And sometimes we get stuck in that period where it's dark, isolated, and lonely, and we're afraid to leave that because we can't go back to what we knew, and we're afraid to go forward because it's the unknown. Like, we can't even think in our minds what it's going to be like, who is going to be our friends, are people going to like us, what am I going to do, where am I going to be? And so sometimes that fear of the unknown keeps us trapped and stagnant and stops us from changing. And so I really want to challenge you not to let that happen to you, and not to let the fear of the unknown stop you from making the changes, doing that inner work. Because that's what, like, that time when you're isolated and alone, like, that is the best time for you to really be doing your inner work, to really go within yourself and start really looking at your life. Look at yourself. Look at why you do things the way you do. Why do you feel about things the way you do? What beliefs do you have, and why do you have them? And, do you have any prejudices? Are you judgmental? And not just to other people, but to yourself. Like, sometimes we're our own worst enemies. And we can really inhibit our growth because we just beat ourselves up. For example, like, if you're going back to the change idea, and say you come up with this great idea that you want to change, or maybe you want to go to the gym, or maybe you want to try to be nicer, or maybe you want to quit drinking or smoking, or whatever it might be, because we all have things that we want to change and improve in our life. And sometimes it is something, that you have to change and improve because you don't want to, but it's all about, having that mindset of looking at it like it's an adventure, and it's an opportunity for you to grow and learn and glean something out of that experience. But if you become bitter and angry and hostile, and you work against the flow of that change, and you beat yourself up because maybe you aren't meeting up to your own expectations, or maybe you were going to do this fat exercise plan that Sally Joe had on the internet, and you've done it for 6 weeks, and Sally Joe said you're going to look better and you don't, and so you're like, what the hell? Like, not everything that somebody else is doing is exactly what you need to do, because you are an individual and you are here on your own journey to learn different things. And so part of my challenge to you is to be willing to really just get to know yourself and love yourself and find out what is it that you want to learn and experience in this world, and what can you learn and grow from those experiences in your life, whatever they may be, with people, your jobs, your health, your finances, whatever it is. Like, what can you learn and how can you grow through those experiences? So having that mindset is really going to help you in those times when you develop amnesia and forget, why the heck did I decide to make a change in my life anyway? I don't even remember, right? Because it happens. It's a legitimate thing. I took a coaching course, and I took several life coaching courses, and most of them, the 4 different ones that I took, did have a whole entire section about amnesia and how we develop it at some point along our wanting to make changes in our life journey. It's like change amnesia, and we just forget why the heck we started deciding to do this anyway. And so I want to challenge you, when that happens, to just, instead of beating yourself up, just be like, oh my gosh, I totally got off course from what I wanted to do, no matter how long it has been. If it's been a day, if it's been a week, if it's been a month, if it's been a year, who cares? Like, don't beat yourself up, because that is not going to help you. It is just going to reinforce negative thought processes or negative beliefs that you have. And so just let that go, and instead just be like, you know what? I got distracted. I got off course, and then just recalibrate and go back where you want to go. And maybe you need to reevaluate what it is you are doing, and is that really the right thing for you now, where you are at this present moment in your life? Because maybe you've learned some things about yourself, maybe you had some experiences, and maybe that's, those goals or that change or whatever is not really what you need anymore in your life. And maybe you need something different. And so being willing to just readjust that. Something that really has helped me along my journey of making changes in my life is to make like a vision board, and to keep, I'm not really good at journaling. I love the concept of it, and I've started a journal many times, and then I just I forget about it, So now what I do is I keep a planner, because I like, tactile stuff. I have a digital calendar as well, but I really like paper and writing. And so I just write in my planner, like my calendar, I just write my things down in that. So whenever something comes up, or if I have a goal or something I want to do or ideas, I write it in my planner. And that way then I know it's something I'm going to see on a regular basis. And so maybe that will work for you. Something else that's a really good idea to do is to make a vision board. And so that is to just, maybe get some pictures. You can print them out with your computer. You can get them from a magazine or whatever, and get some pictures and put them, or even if it's just a word, like what you want, like debt free, and then maybe the date that you would like to be debt free. Or like my husband and I would like to travel. So I like to put a little picture of a camper up there, so that, that to me is like the thing that reminds me that we want to travel and be able to go to different places. And so that is also going, and having it somewhere where you're going to see it on a regular basis, maybe in your bedroom. It doesn't have to be out in the open where everybody sees it, but somewhere where you'll see it, maybe inside your bathroom closet door. If you go in there every day, maybe inside of there, so that you can see it and just have that reminder, because that also is going to really help you when you start developing that change amnesia and you forget and you get off course. You're going to see that, and it's going to remind you, oh, these are the things that I want to have in my life. You know, how it could be something you want now, it could be something you want in 6 months, it could be something that you want in a year. And I would suggest that you have a variety of those things, because it's some things you will be able to accomplish right away, but some things you need to work towards. And so having that vision board is really going to help to remind you of what you're working towards. And it's going to also remotivate you for when you have periods in your life when, you know, you're just feeling like, why the heck am I doing this? Like, it's just really hard, you know, and making change can be hard. I'm not going to try to rose color it. It can be fun and exciting, but it can be hard, because sometimes if you make changes in your life, and I'm, again, speaking from my own personal experience with being forced to make changes and then choosing to make changes. Making changes in your life is going to change your life, and it's going to change the way that you interact with people. It's going to change the vibration you give off to people, because you're going to be happier and you're going to be a little freer. Maybe you're learning to set up boundaries and not just allow everything into your life. And when you do that, people in your life may fall away from you, or people in your life may become more angry with you and poke you and be hostile to you and jealous, or maybe gossip about you or start calling you weird or whatever, you know, because you're changing and you're deciding to do things differently. And it might not even be anything, like they might not even really care about what you're doing, but maybe, just maybe, what you're doing is making them think, oh, they're making me look bad. Maybe I should be doing that. So, I mean, you have to remember to shift your perspective sometimes and not take it personally. I took it personally a lot. And then that just created a whole nother issue, because I felt so like judged and lonely, especially when I had health issues and I didn't really have any control over having to change my life. I felt lonely and isolated and left out. And I felt like people were really judging me, like I was faking it or doing it because I wanted attention. And so there was all this thing, but it was all like me, you know? Like I felt like everything they were doing and saying and whatever was all about me. And so I really had to go within and shift and be like, okay, so like, how can I change this to be like, yeah, it actually is about me, and I need to change and love myself and realize that, you know, there are some people that it's okay if they don't fit into your life anymore. It's okay. You're going to find new people that love you and support you and encourage you. Because that's the other thing. When change happens to you, or you start making changes in your life, you're going to start seeing real quick who is a real friend and who is not, right? Like, you know, it just made me think about this. My parents had lots of friends because they were, you know, big partiers and socializers. And so growing up, like I always thought my parents had a gazillion friends because there was always all these people around. And it wasn't until I had my dad's memorial when he passed away. My sister and I organized a memorial for him. And he was a friendly guy. Everybody loved him. Like really. Everybody really liked him because he was fun and he was the party guy, you know. 3 people came to his memorial. 3 people. And my sister and I, we were just like, wow. Like we thought he had so many more friends, right? But were they really friends? And that's when you have to really ask yourself. The 3 people that came, you know, I mean, some of his actual very dear and close friends had already passed on. So that explains some of it. But the 3 people that did come, 2 of them were lifelong friends that were in his life for a long time. And one was somebody that he had worked with. So, I mean, that just goes to show you that change in your life is inevitable. And there are going to be people who come along for a reason, a season, in a lifetime, right? And it's okay. So when you start looking at your life that way and realize, there are people here just for a season, and enjoy that season, whatever it is. Maybe it's going to be a tough one and you're going to learn a lot from those people. Or maybe it's going to be one of the most funnest experiences and seasons that you've ever had. And that's very healing and therapeutic. And there are some people who come into your life for a reason. And maybe they're that catalyst that you need at that point in your life to help help project you into the trajectory that you want to go or need to go, and you don't know you need to go. Sometimes I like to think of those people that are in our life for a reason are kind of like our guardian angels, or our guides who are coming to just kind of assist us to get, just to shift the dial just a little bit to get where we need to go. And then there's those people that are in your life for a lifetime. And honestly, those are usually very few. Very few. And, society makes us think that we need to have like 1 million friends. If I have 1 million followers, I have all these friends, and I'm not. But that's not true. It's great. It's fun if you're doing it to make a difference in the world, or whatever, but you can't base your life off of that. You can't base your purpose or existence and your happiness off of that, because then if it goes down, then where are you going to be, right? So just keep that in mind, that, lifelong people that really, really, really matter is usually, I would say, less than 10 people in your life. So it's all good. But anyway, back to change. I just really want to encourage you to, do the work when you're in that isolated, quiet, darker, still time in your life. Just before, the butterfly comes out or the dragonfly comes out. Use that time in your life when it's quiet, when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, when you lack purpose or motivation. Use that time to really evaluate where you are on the inside. I thought about this the other day. Like, I like saying affirmations, and I say that in my yin class when we're doing our deep 5 cleansing breath, and I tell my clients all the time to affirm their bodies and tell them, their bodies, how great they are. And I say affirmations for myself. But, I'm also in the belief that we have limiting beliefs. And so limiting beliefs and affirmations are kind of the opposites of the same coin, right? And so you could say affirmations and have mindset changes until the cows come home. But if you have underlying programs or limiting beliefs or a belief system running under the surface, doesn't matter how much you say an affirmation, it's not going to change. So you need to be willing to do that deeper work, which is almost like reprogramming your subconscious to be able to replace it with the affirmation and the mindset. So I've done a ton of learning about that. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to chat with you and just help to teach you some of the tools for that. Tapping is one of the ways that you can do that. Mind Change Method is another one by Heather McKean. Psych K is also, those are all great programs to help you to kind of tap it. And even hypnosis is a good way to go in and be able to reprogram, find out what some of those limiting beliefs are and then kind of reprogram them. So, look into that and, start thinking about if you started this whole I want to change my life journey and you don't see anything happening, or maybe, you can get so far and then something happens. Like, that's when you want to start really looking within and ask yourself, are there some underlying beliefs that I have that are stopping me from being able to actually achieve the goals and the change that I want in my life. And that, when you can identify what that is, write it down. And then that might be a period in your life when you need to ask somebody to help you with that. Believe me, I'm the kind of person who likes to pretty much do everything myself. And if you know anybody that knows me, they will validate that. I like to do it myself. I like to learn it. I want to know how to do it. But I have also learned there are certain parts in my journey where I needed somebody to help me, even if it was just a little leg in that portion of my journey. That's how I learned about mind change method. I've done acupuncture. That's how I learned about massage, essential oils. Those things are what help you along your journey. And you have everything within you, but sometimes you need somebody to teach you how to use it. You have that survival kit that you've been equipped with. We have the tools, we have the ability, we just haven't been taught how to do it. And so I just really want to challenge you to be willing to look outside the box and maybe ask somebody to help you. And again, if you want that somebody to be me, I'm here for you. I want you to know that you are not alone. And I know it's not always easy to talk to somebody. So feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy. If you're not even where I live, we can meet on Zoom. I'm fine with that. Or a phone call. That's fine too. So I just want you to know that you are not alone, and to be willing to, do some of the work, and also embrace change, because it really is inevitable. And so you can either fight it and be miserable and grumpy and never change and actually really miss out on life, or you can embrace it and you can learn and grow and become a better version of yourself tomorrow, and then do something different and then become a little bit better. And each day, just embrace it and love yourself and find yourself to be so amazing. Learn those things that you have, those gifts and abilities that you have within yourself. Ask and pray for somebody to come into your life to help you when you're feeling stuck, and be willing to learn from them, right? And stop taking everything so personally. And if something sets you off, use that as a mirror. Use that, whatever that is, use it as oh, you know what? There's a reason why that upset me. What can I do to look within and ask myself, what is it about that situation that's upset me? And how can I grow from that? Okay? So these are the things that are going to empower you to start living the life that you want to live and feeling well again. Because it is possible. I am living testament to that. I have chosen to decide not to allow a diagnosis or a label stop me, or keep me in a box or a cage and limit me from growing and learning and becoming a better me, becoming healthier, becoming, smarter, becoming more compassionate and kind and loving, being willing to put myself out there, and being willing to accept help and love from others. And so I hope that for you too. So have courage to embrace the change. Remember the dragonfly. Remember that. And just, be like a dragonfly and just be willing to do the change, embrace it, and really you just don't even know where life is going to take you. It doesn't have to be scary. It could be freaking amazing, and I hope it is for you. Bye.